Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. XRP continues to generate absurd market interest everywhere it's offered. This strength in a market troubled by tariff fears is incredibly impressive, and unlike what people have come to expect from XRP over the past several years, I think it's fair to say. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard by now that we have seen the world's first ever XRP ETF, and it wasn't in the form that anyone was expecting. What we were expecting is a spot XRP ETF backed by XRP itself, tracking the actual price of XRP on a global scale. What we instead got is an XRP ETF that is leveraged, and it's a 2x. So if XRP performs to whatever degree, then the benefit would be twice that. And to the negative also, if XRP goes down a certain amount, then you lose twice that. And so greater risk, greater reward, certainly safe to say. But, a spot XRP ETF is coming, and I'll say that's probably going to be late third quarter or fourth quarter this year in all likelihood. So I'll be more excited for that, frankly, but this still is the world's first ever XRP ETF. It's exciting. It's an investment vehicle that should exist for the XRP ecosystem. And not surprisingly, it has gained ridiculous traction. So if you're excited about XRP and you think it makes sense, just know that you're not the only one, and people are flocking to this damn thing. And it's at a time also where there's tremendous fear in the market, and they're still flocking to this son of a bitch. It's just incredible to see. Think about everything XRP has been through, and all of us in the community have been through over the last several years. The lawsuit, toxic Bitcoin maximalists breathing down our neck with their nasty troll breath, smelling like room temperature cottage cheese and all that crap. That's their favorite meal, by the way. That's a fun fact. But we went through all that, and XRP, it hit a new all-time high, and the excitement around it is not done. It simply is not. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say are right. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun, damn it. And if you don't like it, you can just get out. Take a look at this. Here it is, the headline from the block. This is from April 7th. First ever XRP ETF to launch in US Tuesday. Spot ETF still pending. And so indeed, this thing went live on Tuesday. And so that means that we had 4 full days of trading activity: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And here on the first day of trading Tuesday, Eric Balkunas had something to say about this. And he shared the following with his 354,000 followers. And I'll tell you, he became pretty famous in the world of crypto pretty quickly. He's a senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg. And the reason that happened for him is because he was tracking all of the goings-on leading up to the spot Bitcoin ETF, which was of tremendous interest to pretty much everybody in crypto, but obviously especially the Bitcoin maxis out there. And you'll see the way I'll read what he wrote here. And because there are a couple posts from him, and he ends it by talking about, okay, it's so XRP, it's great. It's nothing like Bitcoin though. And I'm just saying, okay. I think I'm speculating here. I think he's playing to his audience. So like a ton of these people following him, I think they must be toxic Bitcoin maximalists. And he knows, anybody that's around, if you're not in the XRP community, you have a following of toxic Bitcoin maxi trolls, you quickly figure out that if you say anything about XRP and it's not calling it a scam coin going to zero, you get some blowback because as it turns out, a lot of people with XRP derangement syndrome out there who irrationally hate XRP. They're good at applying logic, data, and reason in any other aspect of their life, but when it comes to XRP, for some reason, their brains turn into applesauce and they can no longer compute logic and facts. That's just how it goes here. And so I think he's somewhat playing to the creditor, but I still, appreciate that he's acknowledging this. So here again, April 7th, the first day of this XRP ETF, he says, a 2x XRP ETF is launching tomorrow in US, the first ever. Oh, I had that backwards. I apologize. It was April 8th. That was the first day. My bad. So this is the day before. He says, a 2x XRP ETF is launching tomorrow in US, the first ever XRP ETF on the market. Very odd, maybe a first, that a new asset's first ETF is leveraged. Spot XRP still not approved, although our odds are pretty high. Yeah, and so I do think that's strange as well. Like I'll certainly agree with that. The fact that it happened to be leveraged, then because we were all, let's be real, we were all expecting a spot XRP ETF, probably multiple ones getting launched probably on the same day because of approval from the SEC at the same time. I think that's what we were pretty much expecting here, right? But nonetheless, incredible interest around this one. And here you can see a headline from FX Empire. XRP news today, ETF buzz grows as SEC pauses appeal is $3 next. And one of the things they cited in that article, it's not really necessary to read through the whole thing. I wanted to highlight this. This is the post from Eric Balcunas. This is the one from April 8th. So this is the day that the first ever XRP ETF was launched. And yeah, it performed. Oh, it sure as hell did. And by the way, the ticker symbol for this particular XRP ETF is XXRP. And so some people were questioning, what's this XXRP? Is that a typo? Did you just mean to have one X? No, it's two X's. That's the ticker symbol for this particular XRP ETF. So anyway, he says XXRP, which is the 2X XRP ETF, saw $5 million in volume on day one. Very respectable, especially considering the market conditions. That puts it in approximately top 5% of new ETF launches and about a 4x from the 2x Solana ETF SOLT did, although both 200 times less than King IBIT. Okay, which would be the a Bitcoin spot ETF. And so you got to throw that in there, play to the crowd, because you got a bunch of toxic Bitcoin maximalists. So Bitcoin is still the king. Okay. I mean, it's the pet rock of crypto, and it is very obviously the worst cryptocurrency that was ever created. Technologically speaking, Bitcoin's, because it was the first. It is the worst, and it can't do, stuff. Like, it can't really do stuff. Like payments. It's not really a peer-to-peer cash system, despite what Satoshi Nakamoto wrote in the Bitcoin white paper, anyway. But still, $5 million, and he's right here. These are good points. XRP, this particular ETF, shining here, and again in the top 5% of new ETF launches at a time when the world of investing anyway, it's in shambles because of all this tariff stuff, and it still did that. It's still in the top 5%. There is crazy interest around XRP. Isn't that astonishing? Okay, well, let's go forward a little bit further. What about the rest of the days of the week? So here's a post from April 11th. So this would be Friday, the fourth day of this thing being launched. He says, the volume on XXRP is impressive. These are big numbers for day 2 through 4, especially for a 2x indie in a whack market. Child's play versus Bitcoin ETFs, of course. There he goes again. But really strong. This thing is finding an audience quickly. Why do you need to bring up Bitcoin every time when you're talking about XRP? I know the answer. It's because he's got a ton of toxic Bitcoin maximalists following him. It's fine. He can do what he wants. He's playing to his audience. It's fine. It's fine. But I gotta call it like I say. Like that's what's happening here. Because like these toxic Bitcoin maximalists, they are adults by age only. They throw temper tantrums. They go into fits of rage. If you mention XRP without bashing it, they cannot let that stand. And in this case, he's not bashing it, fine, but still, without pointing out that Bitcoin's the superior. Okay. Okay. Let's get you back to bed, Grandma. You seen that meme? That's the meme. And so here he says, again, XXRP performing incredibly well. So again, day 1, over 5 million. It was about $5.5 million. Day 2, $13.3 million. Day 2. Day 3, 8.8 million, and day 4, 8.5 million. And if this is a starting point, it's only going to get way, way, way bigger. And so imagine this. Imagine if this were an actual XRP spot ETF. Probably gets way, way, way bigger, way, way, way faster. Don't you think? So look at this headline from You Today. XRP ETF debut was terrific and overwhelming. Xrp CEO says, and that's the firm that launched this thing. During a recent interview with ETF analyst Nate Geraci, Sal Gilberti, CEO of Xrp, stated that the leveraged XRP exchange-traded fund ETF was the firm's most successful launch to date. So this is the best for the company as well. And he said, quote, "A terrific response. This was overwhelming excitement," end quote. Gilberti claims that the launch of the ETF took a lot of people by surprise since the filing was mostly overlooked. Yeah, it took me by surprise, that's for damn sure. I was not expecting this. Not against it. I was just surprised. Then he said here, and this is another quote from him, "We filed as soon as we could after the old SEC regime left," end quote. Well, yeah, that would be the time to do it. Once those terrible, disgusting asshat pricks over at the SEC, the ones that were in power, no longer in power, yeah, that would be the time to do it. I would agree with that. And also, worth noting here, Gilberti said, he stated that he happens to be an XRP fan, adding that the token is very legitimate. And that's a quote, very legitimate. Yeah, he done figured it out. And interest, it just keeps increasing. I mentioned this fairly recently, within the last few days, I think. Look at the XRP wallets just dramatically increasing at the end of November. It's still going at an incredible clip. Faster than the norm if you go back a year ago. Look at that increase. 6.37 million XRP wallets now. Absolutely freaking massive. Huge increase. I mean, you go back less than a year, the earliest day they got here might be, is it the 18th? May? Earliest I can pick up here is May 17th. There were 5.19 million wallets. Less than a year later, we're at 6.3. That's amazing. That's a dramatic uptick. And you can see here, if you look at the number of new accounts activated on any given day for the last few weeks, it varies, 3,000 to 4,000, depending on what the day is mostly. But that's a dramatic increase from a year ago. A year ago, we were looking at, on any given day, plus or minus about 1,000. So this is a dramatic increase. And this just seems to be the new normal here. So go figure, as more and more people jump into crypto, a certain percentage of them discover XRP and decide, just as we did, that it actually makes sense. So yeah, I think it's safe to say XRP is one of the early winners of this space. I think we done figured that out. Which means all we got to do is wait, and more people figure it out. Number go up. It's simple supply and demand, my friends. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.